Mr. Chairman, and thank you for coming today. I hope that we are able to get a number of answers today. I understand that earlier you were talking about the myth that exists with small businesses that maybe aren't able to hire additional employees, and I would push back on that because that's not a myth in Iowa, because I hear it from small businesses all the time. And one of those is a small business in Okoboji. And the owner had told me that they've had to halt plans to expand their business, which was a thriving business. And then the ACA came into play. And because of the rules and the Affordable Care Act's employer mandate, they decided not to expand, and they have stopped filling open positions. And what they did in that transition period is they allowed people to retire, and they simply didn't backfill jobs. So that's not healthy for small businesses. When they have the opportunity to expand and fill a gap that exists in our marketplace, they should be able to do that without feeling the heavy weights of the federal government. And I've heard those stories over and over again. Chuck Grassley and I both do a 99-county tour across Iowa. And what we hear over and over again is about the detriment of the ACA, whether it is the individual mandate or the employer mandate. And so it is not a myth, and we've got to stop saying it's a myth, because I see it, and it's impacting people's lives. Is your agency doing anything to address these challenges that those employers have and the negative impact that the law is having on job creation, specifically on job creation?
Well, first of all, I don't think I referred to that as a myth. We are always concerned about doing things that will expand coverage for as many as we can, and to promote the interests of small business. That's why, in a sense, we have exemptions from the employer mandate, whereas 96% of businesses are exempt from it, and there's 2% of businesses that are between 15 and 100 that are subject to it that fall under the definition.
So, time out, just a second. 96% of all businesses have exemptions.
Yes.
Then why did we need the ACA?
From the business mandate, there are other provisions that are enforced, but the impact on the small businesses have been actually strikingly positive. There have been very large decreases in the uninsurance rate among small businesses, and particularly among sole proprietorships. They've seen some of the largest decreases in the uninsured rate, and that to us is an incredibly important success here.
Okay, and you will count that as a success, but I would like to push back from the other side to say, and yes, I would agree that perhaps we do have more people that have insurance, but they have extremely high deductibles. And I spoke to a podiatrist yesterday that explained most of the folks, especially young people that are coming in that maybe have foot, ankle problems, they will come in and get their initial evaluation to solve whatever issue they are having with their feet. And because they have such a high deductible, they will choose not to get a surgery. He said they will limp around the rest of their lives on a bad foot, having bad feet problems, because they don't ever meet that they're young and healthy otherwise. Maybe they've hurt their foot, but they're never going to meet the point where they can actually engage in that surgery. They simply can't afford to do so. So I would say, yeah, they've got insurance, but what good does it do when they've got such high premiums? It's a real issue with folks in Iowa. And I've got about 30 seconds, so if you can answer that charge.
Sure. I think the important thing to recall is deductibles have been sort of increasing economy-wide for some time, and the Affordable Care Act has a lot of provisions that try to insulate people from that. So, for example, all the preventive visits are now free, and so they don't count in deductible. People have choices among plans in most places. 90% of people have choices of multiple plans where some of the deductibles are higher and some are lower. And if they're low income, they get cost-sharing reductions, which insulate them further from those deductibles. So I think that the statistics can be pretty misleading if you don't sort of look into all the nuances. But I'd like to go back to your point on the employment. We've looked very hard because we are concerned about employment, and we work closely with our colleagues at the Department of Labor, who are really the main agency focused on this. And we have been monitoring very closely sort of changes in employment, changes in full-time, part-time work among businesses of different size. And overall, the trend is up. And I presented quite a bit of data on that in my written testimony. So I'd be happy to share further details with you.
Certainly, and I would like to make a point to Mr. Chair about those types of services that are included, the preventative measures. One thing I've also heard from physicians is that those that aren't paying for those services, they will call the doctor's office, they will make an appointment, but they simply don't show up. And so the doctors do block off time, and then they're not able to recoup anything for blocking off that time when they could be using that time for a patient that really does want to be seen by a doctor and treated. So I know there are many issues out there, and we really do need to navigate through this and make sure that it not only are people receiving the health care that they need, but it's done in a responsible manner. And I don't think this law was done in a responsible manner. But I do thank you for your time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.